and welcome to the Glitter Show with me, Jillian Godsil. Today, my guest is Christopher Swenor, who is a co-founder and CEO of Reach Platform. Christopher, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
So we were just chatting briefly before I started recording, and you've been in crypto a long time. So tell me, how did you first get into it?
I first got into crypto back in 2013 because I bought my friend a lunch and I asked him to pay me back, and he didn't pay me back. And then I reminded him the week after, and he still didn't pay me back. And the week after that, he still didn't pay me back. And then at the end of that week, I received an email that says that I received Bitcoin and the memo was for a burrito. And I didn't know what Bitcoin was. I was like, what is this? So I asked him about it. I'm like, I asked you to pay me, but you paid me in this thing called Bitcoin. He goes, it's money. So he was being a jerk, is what it was, because I was bothering him to actually pay me back for a lunch, and he paid me back in Bitcoin. And now in retaliation, about every year, on the anniversary of him sending that to me, I send him that I forward him that email to show him how much money he actually paid me for that burrito.
So
that's
some
how I got
times of
into
the
it.
year is better than others. That's pretty cool. And so how much at the height, when the last bull run, when it reached about 60,000, how much had he paid for that burrito?
I forget exactly how much, but a lot.
A lot.
It definitely measured in the thousands of dollars.
Oh my goodness.
Like, maybe 10,000 at one point. But anyway.
Wow, wow. And did you spend that Bitcoin?
Of course, I am the worst trader slash, crypto. I am the most diamond hands person in the world. So the large majority of all crypto I've ever received since 2013, I've held.
Wow. Do you have an intention of cashing it out anytime soon?
I mean, who knows?
Who knows?
Like, crypto has not hit its peak yet.
Oh,
Let's
well,
just say
I would
that.
like to think so. I would like to think so. Isn't that funny? Because I like you because I've met a lot of people who have had crypto, bought crypto early on, or received it for that matter early on, and they're terribly arrogant. Do you find that? And you are not. You are just like you're just so chill. You're very relaxed, and I often think that sometimes I'm very happy for people to have bought crypto early. I mean, I came to 2017, so wrong time to invest. I had no money anyway, but you know, think it's almost like a freak of nature or an accident that people happened to buy Bitcoin back in the early days. And it wasn't that they were necessarily fantastically clever or astute or anything like that, and don't necessarily deserve to be lauded as if they were geniuses. Again, with the proviso that I'm very delighted that they have them. I'm not jealous of the money. Well, not that much anyway. Anyway, you have the right attitude is what I'm saying. I like your attitude.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I always actually tell everybody is that the truth of the matter is that if us OGs, the people who have been doing this for as long as we have, we're as smart as what we thought we are, then blockchain would be mainstream, and it's not. The only way that blockchain is going to be mainstream is that as new people coming in, bringing their crazy ideas and implementing them, and that is what was actually going to make blockchain mainstream. So anybody that's currently in the space being arrogant, just look at the actual market cap and compare it to the market cap of just finance overall, and understand we're still blockchain is still a toy, and it's our fault for not actually making it where it's supposed to be. We're doing our best. We believe in it. I tell people that if you cut me, I bleed blockchain because I believe in the potential blockchain so much. But at the same time, being arrogant about being early is just wrong, because the truth is that the true people that will make blockchain truly mainstream aren't actually in blockchain yet.
That's a very good thought. And I do like your idea. Yes, you early OGs and even people involved can't be too pleased with themselves because it hasn't gone mainstream. I mean, despite all the talk
Right.
of mass adoption, whatever. That's a good point. I think it also tallies back, and I was looking at your LinkedIn, and I'd say two things jumped out at me. One was you're a technologist in residence for Harvard startups, Harvard University. That's so cool. But equally cool, not even cooler, is a technical advisor for resilient coders. Now, can I just talk about that second thing a little bit, because that's interesting. I'm always fascinated at the state of the rates of incarceration, especially in the US. but also, but more importantly than that, also looking at ways for people to find a journey back to having a life that is
Yeah.
fulfilling and rewarding. So, how did you stumble across that, and how does it work? And tell me a bit about your Resilient Coders project.
Sure. So number one, it's definitely not my project. And the other thing is like I'm actually not involved as much as I used to be. But what it was is my friend actually created the Resilient Coders project to help teach underrepresented kids how to code. I loved the ideas because me myself, I didn't go your traditional path. I grew up in poverty. I taught myself how to code from a Godsil computer when I was like 13 years old, and I didn't get a college degree. I started being paid for development when I was 15 years old, and I kind of just went from there. So I knew that it's definitely possible, and I don't think that I'm very special, other than the just working hard as I can. So I wanted to make sure I do my part in the best as I possibly can to be an ally for people that could also not also go the traditional path. So he started the program. I came in, I gave advice on the technical side of things and advised and mentored and supported. And it's a program that's still going. It's actually bigger and better than ever it is. My friend Dell has now actually stepped down even, but it's a program that's actually running in multiple cities, I think Boston and Philadelphia. And they have taught and provided enough training for these students that would not have otherwise had the opportunity, and now are making tons of money in the tech world. And I think that's extremely special, and just making sure that there's this opportunity for that to happen is something that I really care about.
So cool. Earlier you said if someone cuts you, you bleed blockchain. So you believe am I right in saying, just from our very short, brief conversation so far, you believe in the transformational opportunities that are brought along by blockchain, the democratizing opportunities. Is that what grabbed you when you first heard about the technology?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the world is a broken place. I
Mm.
feel that the that we're playing somebody else's game because there are rulers to this world, and the rulers of this world are the ones that have all the money. And just how things progressed has made it so the top percent of the top percent actually have the large majority of the money. And I don't believe that's fair. I think I'm completely okay with people being rich and having the money. Nothing wrong with that. But I think there needs to be a better distribution. And when I learned about blockchain in 2013, or Bitcoin in 2013, I thought, this is neat. This is an idea where you can have a monetary system that is decentralized, that is not ran by a centralized federal government or what have you. And I thought this is neat. I wasn't really hooked at that point. I mean, I was like, okay, I'm going to buy some. I'm going to start, holding some. But then in 2015 came around, and the idea that kind of went from the decentralized currency to the decentralized computer, the world computer, a way to build applications that you can build protocols on top of this trustless, immutable system that really made my head explode. And that's when I went all in. I started actually building things. I started actually have my teams build things in 2015. And that's when I grabbed a hold of me, because one of the things I always say is that centralization creates money. Money creates power. Power corrupts every single time. And if you knock out the actual centralization, there's still going to be corruption. There's still going to be there's a power dynamic, but it really hinders that. And building and protocols that, by pure definition, that the participants in the protocol are actually part owners, it hurts that pillar that we've always been living with. So that is what makes me so passionate about blockchain. We're so far from that reality because the tools are so old and so not there yet, that it's very difficult to build on blockchain. But I mean, that's what gets me out of bed every morning, to make it so that this technology that has so much potential can be put into the hands of these creative people, these 25 million developers in the world that don't necessarily know how to build low-level systems, but they know how to build applications that make the world a better place. I want to actually put tools in their hands so they can harness this power of blockchain to actually make the world a better place.
You're speaking my language. I did a lot of activism before I met blockchain. And when I met blockchain, I went, aha, aha, this is how I change the world. Amazing. So I totally, totally get what you're saying. So tell me a bit about the Reach platform. This is all about making blockchain easier. So Reach is a big, big project now. So it's not, there's 40 or so employees. Tell me about the ethos, the genesis behind Reach and what you're achieving now, I guess.
Yeah. So right now, in blockchain, some real numbers that actually to set the stage. There are 6,000 developers in the entire world that are actually full-time building blockchain applications. 6,000.
Mm-hmm.
To put that in comparison, there are over 25 million developers building web applications. So the difference in between there is huge. It's not even measurable. It's the difference is so big. Now, that's a problem why are we calling this thing Web3 if there's only 6,000 people actually building on it? It's impossible for Web3 to be like Web2 unless we actually fix this problem. So if you start looking into what the actual problem is that there's four major issues. Number one, the difficulty of learning this new paradigm. It's a low level. It's a much harder way to build applications. The traditional developers are used to modern tools, modern technology, modern languages that really don't help them when building on blockchain. So they have to completely relearn everything and do things in a much harder way. So it's too hard to actually build on blockchain. The risks of building on blockchain are way too great because it's harder to build. And because it's harder to build, it's easier to make mistakes. And if those mistakes are game over, if you make a mistake when you build a smart contract, then you end up losing all of your users' money. This is why that 75% of all contracts that are launched on mainnets are like one of 15 different contracts because people are scared of writing their own contracts because of how dangerous things are.
Of course.
And then the third thing is that the space is too toxic. Like when you come into the space, you're expected to wave the flag of a protocol, wave the flag of Ethereum, Algorand, Polygon, or whatever. You need to wave that flag and say, we are the best, because you are incentivized to do so. And a lot of people don't want to play that game. They don't want they don't want to join a cult. They don't want to join a club to tell everybody why they're else wrong. And the final thing is that people really don't understand how to apply the value of blockchain yet. And this is actually a problem because it's a fundamentally different way of building businesses. It's not, if you take centralized business practices and bring them over to blockchain, you're going to fail because you don't have the same levers that you can pull that you do in a centralized company. So building a decentralized company is actually more like building a government than it is building a company. And a lot of people don't realize that. So those are the four main fundamentals that are missing to actually make blockchain mainstream. I decided I can't fix all four. I can fix 3 of the 4. And that's what I decided to actually do.
Which 3 are you fixing?
So this is where Reach started. So I partnered with my co-founder, Dr. Jay McCarthy, who is a world-renowned computer science researcher. And we decided to fix the issue of how hard it is to actually build, how safe it is, and remove the toxicity. Figuring out how to actually apply this new technology, we're going to rely on other people to actually figure that out. But those first 3 we can actually solve, because with Jay's experience, he's been actually researching ways to actually make decentralized computing better for over 15 years before blockchain existed. So what Reach is, it's a full end-to-end blockchain development platform that has made blockchain development exponentially faster, exponentially safer, and exponentially cheaper. To give you actually a real-world use case, because I like real-world use cases, is that Maker, which is one of the most popular applications built by some of the most brilliant minds in the Solidity space, took, I believe it was 11 months to build the first version of the smart contracts. And it took 4 of the most brilliant engineers to do so. And then they spent millions of dollars on audits to make sure that it is actually to a safe thing. XBacked, which is a project on Algorand, and they're going to be launching soon, is a very similar project. They built on top of Reach. They did it with 3 developers that I think are brilliant, but never knew what blockchain was before. They used to work at, I think, at an insurance company. Came in, used Reach, did it in, I believe, 6 months with more features, and did it in a way that is formally verifiable, which is the safety aspect. So it's mathematically guaranteed to be correct. So they're able to spend less money on audits. And they did it for, I believe, 85% less money than what Maker did. So because they actually built it on Reach, they saved 85% money by actually launching it. And they were able to do it with being able to hiring developers that not necessarily aren't geniuses that have been doing blockchain development forever. And that's what Reach has done, is that it's made blockchain development actually practical. And this is how we make blockchain mainstream, is that we can take a Web2 developer and then within 4 weeks, they can build things like stablecoins. We don't need 1 million stablecoins, but we do need an open canvas so that these creative people can build whatever the crazy ideas is in a very easy way.
So that's fascinating. How does Reach then work with different blockchains? Does it work on top of or for, or I mean, you're agnostic, but so how does that work?
Yeah, so this is actually where the third thing of actually removing the toxicity. The developers that are building on Reach are building on Reach. They're not learning the low level functionality or whatever. And so if you look in our Discord or in the way places that the developers communicate, there's zero toxicity because nobody talks about those underlying tokens. They just talk about building. And how we actually do that is because Reach is made up of a programming language, a compiler, deployment tools, testing tools, and soon we'll have analytics tools that'll do a contract monitoring. Like I said, the full end-to-end system. And how the actual compiler works is it takes a higher level language that is easier to know, easier to understand. It's actually a subset of JavaScript, so it's very easy to read. And it compiles down to the actual base languages of, right now, all EVM chains, Algorand, Conflux, and the next one is Cosmos. And eventually we will just be every chain, because developers should be able to pick their chains based off the functionality and the features of the underlying protocols, not the onboarding system or how it is easy to actually build. So they write their application, they decide which chain they want to launch on, set that configuration, run the command, and it outputs the things that needed to run on that chain.
So you've mentioned some projects already which are on Algorand. Are there other projects being planned for other chains just to spread it out?
Yeah, so right now we've onboarded, I believe, probably approaching 7,600 developers in the last year and a half.
Oh my goodness.
These are not like Discord Discord agents. These are actually literally people that have compiled applications. So when you actually look at us, we've been doing a great job, and we're actually even expanding in this bear market, which is very difficult to do. The large majority of those have been on Algorand, and that's been by design because we decided to pick one chain that we really love, that we love the actual tech, and want to actually help. And we've done that. And we're pretty well known in the Algorand space. But we are also EVM compatible. We've always been EVM compatible the entire time, but we've never actually marketed ourselves that way. That being said, we are actually just starting to change this. In the, I would say, before the end of October, we're going to release what I'm calling a fancy ERC 721. This is an ERC 721 that's completely compatible with the ERC 721 spec that can be traded and everything on OpenSea. But it's added functionality into the actual spec itself that allows to actually build a fully universal market into the NFT that allows for people to actually atomic swap and set the NFT for sale that anybody can actually send money to it and it will automatically change hands. The functionality itself is less important about than showing and building tutorials around how easy it is to actually modify this existing spec to be able to do whatever you want to actually create that open canvas. And once we actually release that, we are going to number one, we're going to release a set of NFTs on every single EVM chain that we are to show that we can work with. We're going to release that tutorial, and we're going to start actually partnering with the other chains to start doing dev acquisition for them, to train them, to actually bring more developers in and launch on those, so that we can now increase the developers in the EVM chains.
So actually, from reading, I mean, this is quite technical, but from reading to some of your other commentary, and from what you said about there's only 6,000 blockchain basically developers. So what you're talking about, are you hoping to bring in lots of Web 2 developers and saying, come on, guys, let's just get going?
Exactly. That's the only ones that we're actually focusing on is yes, the existing Web3 developers can come over and they'll blow their mind how much easier, faster it is. But at the same time, the way that I look at it is that the current blockchain developers are pot committed. They've already spent the years learning how to do things the hard way, and they're getting by. And they're getting not only that, but they're getting by and getting paid buckets of money. They're they're getting paid $300,000 plus a year for this hard technology. So why they're not incentivized to learn anything else? They're making buckets of money. Why would they want to do anything?
Of course.
But Web 2 developers don't want to go through all of those hurdles that those developers are doing, and they just want to actually build. So we, like I said, we can take a Web 2 developer that's never built blockchain before, and then through a 4-week course, they can actually build everything up to a true stablecoin.
That is fascinating. That's amazing. And as I say, because it hadn't occurred to me, we know that Web3 developers are being paid a lot and the huge sums, it's massive. We know it's difficult. We know they have to learn new languages. But what you're saying is genius. Mass adoption. Mass adoption means we need more developers and developing faster, quicker, easier, and lots more products. Because I know that, I mean, I was once upon a time in my very, very youth, I was a programmer, a very bad programmer. And I would never program again. But I still find this sometimes this whole area is complex, you know, and I'm in it 5-6 years now. And I'm talking to a lot of people, and I really enjoy it. I love it. But it's still, it's very, to want to onboard somebody outside maybe a project or an idea or a FOMO thing, whatever. Not that I want to do that. Oh, I love this. So you're going after the Web 2 developers and saying, come on, guys.
Exactly. I mean, there's 25 million of them. If you put it in business speak, the TAM is way bigger if you look at the Web 2 developers than if you just look at the Web 3 developers.
It makes sense. It makes sense. Web 3 is so small. And why are we sort of putting all these roadblocks to stop people coming in? Wow.
Exactly.
That is amazing. I think I'm going to stop there because you know what? I'd love to come back and interview you again, but I just love that you're solving the problem. That is so simple. And just very funny. We both have the sunshine coming in the other side. Where did the sunshine suddenly arrive? Sorry. We're going to say something about what I mentioned about the Web 2 developers.
Yeah, and I was just saying, like, yeah, we could definitely talk anytime because Reach is just one part of the things I do. We also have the Reach Labs that we roll out projects out of it. Humble is one of the projects in Reach Labs, which is the fastest growing DeFi suite on Algorand right now. People are really loving it. It's everything from an AMM swap to fully on-chain staking. We're soon going to be to implementing limit orders in a very unique way, which I think is pretty exciting. And then, you know, everything about that. But we also have Alloy, which is another project in our labs that is tackling fixing the actual gaming ecosystem, being a Steam competitor based off of their idea of interoperable assets. And I actually managed to convince the executive producer of EVE Online. He used to actually work, he ran battle.net for Blizzard, and to run that project. And that's going really well. And that's going to be launching on the V1 in, I believe, February, or it's like Q1 of next year. So that's coming as well. And we already have, I believe, between 12 and 15 like AA games signed on to use this platform on launch. So that's going well too.
That's amazing. Okay, I will come back again and I'll talk about the different projects. But I like the very simple conversation we've had here today Web 2 developers getting over to Web 3, because we need, that's the mass adoption. We need devs. Simples, as they say, simples. Christopher, thank you so much for your time today. I will be back to talk with you again soon.
My pleasure. Thanks so much.